You're sitting in a meeting. Nothing is wrong. Nobody is threatening you. You have a roof over your head, food in your stomach, and a calendar full of ordinary Tuesday problems. And yet something at the back of your neck prickles. Your chest feels tight. Your eyes keep flicking toward the door. Some quiet, irrational part of you is scanning the room like something is about to go wrong. Nothing is wrong, but your brain doesn't know that. Here's what nobody tells you about the human nervous system. It was never designed for the world you're living in. It was designed for a world that was trying to kill you. Every hour of every day, for nearly 2 million years, your ancestors woke up in a world full of things that wanted to eat them. And the ones who survived, the ones whose genes eventually became yours, were not the calm ones. They were the paranoid ones. They were the ones who flinched first, who ran before they were certain, who heard a rustle in the grass and assumed the worst without waiting for confirmation. That reflex saved their lives, and now it lives inside you. Scientists call it hypervigilance, but in its everyday form, it feels like anxiety. It feels like dread with no object. It feels like your body bracing for a threat your mind cannot name. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping exactly how this works inside the human brain. What he found was deeply unsettling. The fear response in your brain does not pass through your conscious mind first. It bypasses it entirely. A signal enters your senses, hits a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain called the amygdala, and your body is already reacting, heart rate climbing, muscles tensing, pupils dilating, before your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, has any idea what just happened. You feel fear before you know why you feel fear. You're already running before you've decided to run. Your ancestors needed that speed. In a world with apex predators, half a second of hesitation was the difference between life and being eaten. The body that waited to think was the body that didn't survive. So your brain evolved a shortcut so fast it feels like instinct because it is. But here's the problem. That system was calibrated for savanna, for tall grass and darkness and animals with teeth. It was not calibrated for a performance review. It was not calibrated for a delayed text message or a stranger's tone of voice in an email or the soft dread that settles in at 2 in the morning for no reason you can name. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference. That is the part no one prepared you for. Researcher Arne Ohman at the Karolinska Institute ran a series of experiments in the 1990s that revealed something remarkable about what the human brain has been pre-programmed to fear. He showed people images and sequences so fast they could not consciously register what they'd seen. Less than 30 milliseconds, far below the threshold of conscious awareness. Then he measured their physiological fear responses. When the subliminal images were spiders or snakes, the fear response fired immediately before any conscious recognition. When the images were guns or knives, objects that are genuinely more dangerous to a modern human, the fear response was much slower, far more muted. Your brain is more afraid of a spider than a loaded gun. Not because you're irrational, because you're ancient. Spiders have been dangerous to your lineage for longer than weapons have existed. Your body remembers threats older than language. A wide-eyed expression in a tribe member told you something was behind you before you had time to turn around. That is why, even now, a single alarmed face in a crowd can stop you cold. Your eyes go there first, before anything else. You are wired to read fear in others faster than you can blink. Think about what that means for your daily life. Your nervous system is running threat detection software that was last updated during the Pleistocene epoch. It is scanning your open-plan office for predators. It is interpreting your boss's silence as the silence before an attack. It is treating a difficult social interaction as a survival event, because for your ancestors, being cast out of the group was not a social inconvenience. It was a death sentence. There were no loners on the savannah. Isolation meant exposure. Exposure meant dying alone in the dark. And so your brain learned to treat social rejection as physical danger. That is why public speaking terrifies more people than death. That is why being left out of a group chat can feel, for a moment, like something catastrophic. Your body is not overreacting. It is reacting perfectly to a world that no longer exists. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard has argued that this ancient threat system didn't just shape fear. It shaped the entire architecture of human social life. Humans became extraordinarily good at reading faces because faces were the first warning system. Your ancestors didn't just fear predators. They feared each other, rival groups, competing tribes, strangers who arrived without context. The same threat detection system that watched for lions also watched for unfamiliar humans. And it treated unfamiliarity itself as a data point. Insufficient information means possible danger. Your brain still does this. A stranger walking too close behind you at night. An email from an unknown address. A new face in a space you consider yours. The flicker of unease you feel is not paranoia. It is a survival system doing exactly what it was built to do. The tragedy is that this system does not come with an off switch. You can learn to manage it. Cognitive behavioral therapy works precisely because it teaches your prefrontal cortex to interrupt the amygdala's response, to step in after the alarm fires and say, I see the signal. I'm evaluating it. It is not a threat. Research by psychologist Aaron Beck demonstrated that this kind of structured cognitive override can, over time, literally reshape the neural pathways involved in threat perception. You can retrain the ancient system, but you cannot delete it. It runs beneath everything. Beneath your reasoning, your language, your civilized surface. Quietly scanning. Quietly watching the exits, quietly calculating the distance between you and whatever might be coming. Consider what happens to your body when you haven't slept. The amygdala's fear response becomes measurably stronger. Your threat detection becomes hair trigger. Things that would barely register when rested feel ominous, urgent, personal. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker has documented how sleep deprivation essentially severs the connection between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. The moderating voice goes quiet, and the ancient alarm system runs unchecked. Every tired person's bad day is, in part, a pleistocene brain running without supervision. You have felt this. The 3 a.m. spiral. The certainty at midnight that everything is wrong, followed by morning clarity that nothing was. Your ancestors feared the night because the night was when the predators moved. Your brain dims its rational voice in the dark and turns up the alarm. This is the strange inheritance you carry. Not trauma passed down through memory, but architecture passed down through survival. Every human alive today descended from people who were scared enough, often enough in the right ways, to live long enough to have children. The calm ones, the fearless ones, the ones who didn't startle, they existed. They just weren't your ancestors. You are built from paranoia, refined over 2 million years. The anxiety that woke you up last Thursday at 4 a.m. for no clear reason is the same mechanism that once pulled a body out of sleep because it heard something in the trees. The social dread you feel walking into a room of strangers is the same calculation an early human made when approaching an unfamiliar group on open land. The knot in your chest before a hard conversation is the same knot that preceded every unknown encounter in a world without rules or guarantees. None of it means something is wrong with you. It means something very old is right on schedule. The next time the unease comes, the tightness, the scan, the quiet bracing for impact in a room where nothing is wrong, you can name it for what it is. Not a malfunction. A message from an older version of yourself. A system still doing its job in a world it was never designed for. You're sitting in a meeting. Nothing is wrong. And somewhere beneath your thoughts, in a structure older than language, something is still watching the grass.